Democrat Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia was on the Faulkner Focus last hour, dodging questions at some points on whether he'll support a Biden re-election bid in 2024. Just watch. Real quickly, the President of the United States, do you want to see him run in 2024?
I am not talking about 2022. I'm not talking about 2024. Okay. I'm talking about the American bill we have, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a red, white, and blue bill. This is a great bill, and I wish my friends would look at it for what it is.
And the reason I'm laughing there is because President Biden's approval rating has recently hit rock bottom. He has the lowest approval rating ever for a president of the United States, finishing his sixth quarter in office, just 38% according to Gallup. This is not hard to answer. Do you support the guy or not?
That was so telling, because most Democrats will come out and at least overtly say, if he runs, I'll support him, but he won't even make that vow. It makes you wonder, who would he be supporting? Any panoply of other progressives who are out there? Does he want to run himself? I don't know. But clearly he's not vowing to support a president who's a drag from the top of the ticket down. I mean, you look, 19% approval among Latinos. I mean, that's horrible.
So why is it then, James, if he's not willing to support Biden, why is it going to help him build back whatever in a new package?
He resisted this deal for a year for, I think, very good reasons.
Why? For the new naming of it?
because he saw the disaster that the American Rescue Plan was. And then you ask him, okay, what's this going to do against inflation? And he appeals to the authority of Moody's. Moody's Analytics spent last year telling us not to worry about inflation. The Biden, in fact, Mark Zandi, the head of Moody's Analytics, said, bring on inflation, saying that had been too low for 25 years. So he could not come up with a worse source of authority to say this is not going to be an inflation feeder.
Dr. Sapphire, you've got somebody in the White House. You've got, who's one party? You've got the same party bicameral on the Hill. You got all three, everything. But you know that there is some kind of a red wave coming.
You know, it was interesting. He said, I'm not going to talk about 2024. But then he also said, well, I'm not going to talk about 2022.
That's why I was laughing, too. I was like, well, wait.
What about every single American? Like, let's get tangible for 1 second and get down to the heart of America. You have Americans who are struggling right now. They are struggling to afford their gas, their food. Mothers across the country still are having difficulty getting baby formula. And you have people saying things like this. It is almost as though they're so out of touch and they don't care about what Americans are going for. Of course, there's going to be a red wave in the midterms. You continue to see this discord amongst Congress and the White House, and you have all these members saying that they're not going to necessarily support the president if he were to run. I mean, the Democratic Party is falling apart, and the United States, unfortunately, are being completely caught in the crossfires of it all.
You know what's so key, too, about what you're saying, and it's right where my mind went to, and I asked the senator about this. I said, well, look, you also dodged on the Sunday shows the question about whether or not you would support your own Democrats to push back against that red wave in November. I mean, you're going to need this president. He can't help you. So maybe your words could help, you know, those who already have seats. He dodged it again. And I said, are you playing dodgeball? Is that the sport? Emily?
Yeah, I feel like what we're seeing is the most incohesive wall. It's like watching bricks fall from a wall one by one. And every time we have on these Democratic congressmen and senators and candidates, they're only speaking from a siloed fashion. All of their answers are the same, which is, well, it's just right about here this election. It's just about what's right in front of me right now. Because they're you know, no man is an island, but all of them are an island. Because there isn't that cohesiveness within the party. How can there be when the misery index is almost 13%? To your point, every single voter is impacted. Only New Hampshire didn't have a misery index that exceeded 10%. So I think they all do see Biden as that drag. I love how you put it, the drag on the down ticket. I see him as such a big flap on an airplane wing, dragging down that whole party. And that's why none of them can really invoke that cohesiveness, because it doesn't exist. But it would if they would acknowledge the pain of the American people. It would if they would acknowledge the policies that need to be implemented. It would be important for them to acknowledge, for example, the reality of this bill, but Senator Manchin refused to acknowledge it with you, of the impact it would have on Americans who make less than $400,000 a year.
He wouldn't. And I said, you know, Senator McConnell says such and such. And he said, well, he's just wrong. I'm going to ask the team, do they have the little bit together on the inflation? Because that's the #1 concern of Americans right now. Let's watch.
country. We're
so let
wrong.
me ask you
So people can
specifically
make
what
mistakes,
cuts inflation in this bill.
Let me ask you this. How in the world could it be inflation when you're cutting? My Republican friends always said, we got to start paying down debt. I've been a budget hawk my whole life. We're paying down $300 billion. You're saying massive expenses? $3.5 trillion in BBB was massive.
No. Penn Wharton, James, said that this is diametrically opposed to a straight line from cutting the deficit to lowering the inflation. It doesn't work that way. And they have all the numbers from this bill to prove it.
And even if you accept his argument, the inflation relief doesn't start for 5 years from now. Hello. So what's also happening is if you want
that's
more
prolonged pain.
Yes.
That's what you were talking about, Dr. Sapphire.
We're feeling it right now.
Yeah.
And if you want more supply, you need to encourage people who supply stuff. So a big tax, especially on manufacturers, what does it do? It reduces investment.
But it pumps up the prices of things.
Well, and what they're trying to do, the whole point of this is they're punishing companies that invest a lot, that build factories, that build new plants, equipment, products. Isn't that what we want?
I'm just curious. He worked out this deal so that he could support this president's legislation, and he did it without Kyrsten Sinema in the room.
Well, and it punishes American manufacturers, and we were just saying how we need to be less dependent on other countries for what we use here in the United States, and all it will do is push us in the hands of China and other countries even more.
We'll be watching to see what the senator now, the Democrat from Arizona, does. She's all alone. Yeah, Manchin left her on the side of the road.
She's the only one who can save us.
I'm not holding my breath.
All right, Kaylee's not holding her breath.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.